Hey guys, I'm Jim Super from Wolves Den Customs, and I'm going Beyond the Smoke with Thomas Ward.
To give you a little background, all my sisters studied in Boston. You're from Boston, right? I thought it's a great city, but I saw the good probably. You probably, because you lived there and you grew up there, understand the city well. Have a different perspective. I want to hear that.
So Massachusetts as a whole, Boston specifically, is, I refer to it, I put it on an Instagram post the other day, it's a city of lifers.
Lifers.
Right? Lifers. Yeah. You're born, you're raised, you struggle, you die in the same place. You know, I know 90% of the people, 95% of the people I know have never even left the town they live in. They're just comfortable. You know, my family is from a town. They stay there. You know, people, my sister, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, they still meet every single holiday for the last 25, 30 years doing the same thing, you know, and it's, for me, I was always kind of, I didn't like it. You know, I wanted more with myself. I started off in sales, and I started doing nightclub promotions. Okay. So I was running some pretty big events in Boston with a couple of buddies of mine, but we were always trying to like push. We wanted to do more. We wanted to bring in bigger DJs, bigger acts, bigger entertainers, and immediately I was better than everyone. Right, like everybody was like, "Oh, you think you're so much better than us. You wanna live. You wanna do this. You wanna bring in Avicii to Boston, and you wanna throw these crazy events. You wanna be part of these groups of people. Then you're forgetting about us, you know." And for me, it was never like a personal thing. I've always wanted more with my life, and I knew at some point that I was gonna have to just break free. Like it was never a plan to live and die in Boston. You know, it's a great city. You know, if you're a fan of professional sports, if you're a Bruins fan, Red Sox fan, Patriots fan, like it's a great place to be. But I just had, I don't know, something on my soul that wanted to get out.
So you were in the nightclub business at that point.
I was, yeah.
And that's huge there. Huge. That's a big business because it's a college town. There's a lot going on, a lot of internationals.
Correct. You got a lot of, it's a mix. It's much like Orlando.
Yeah, it's a very big
business
mix.
Professionals, entrepreneurs. There's a lot of money in Boston. There's a lot of new money. There's a lot of old money, but you know, people like to go out and enjoy themselves. So you know, we were part of some of what I consider to be the craziest nights in Boston. They brought in huge name DJs. Like here, you would go to like an EDC. We had an EDC every single weekend. We were paying $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 for DJs to fly in to sell out these events and throw in these like absolutely bananas events, you know, but where do you go from there? You know, it's like I got somewhat of a following. This was the beginning of social media. So I started to get somewhat of a following of social media, and I realized that I could leverage that into anything that I did because I had a following.
Okay.
So my first business was a clothing line, right? I opened clothing line. It was really corny now that I think of it, but it was
What was it called?
Geek Swag. So
Geek Swag?
Correct. It was mutually, there was two areas to it. So it was a anti-bullying movement, as well as cool kids that wore these like, you know, it was like cool to wear those like clear circle glasses back in the day. So we used to call it like the Geek Swag crew. And it was like I would go out and do things to give back. So I would go to schools and talk about kids about bullying and stuff because being a veteran, I had that. So then I lost a friend to suicide. So I knew what it was like to be bullied. I was bullied as a kid, actually, believe it or not. And so we decided to give back, but we wanted to leverage the following that I had. So when I dropped this clothing line, I sold out immediately, like within 2 weeks. Newspaper articles in the city that I was from, anti-bullying movement, this guy's doing this, and again.
That's pretty cool.
He thinks he's fucking better than us. He's doing this. He's doing, I'm like, come on, man. I'm just trying to just trying to be somebody, man. So.
Do you think it's your persona, maybe? Like the way you carry yourself, maybe?
I've understood now that I'm pushing 40 years old, that there's different type personality people. I'm an A-type personality. You know, I'm meant to be loud and out there and doing something special. And I believe that there's a calling on my life to be great, you know,
and that's fair.
That's just what I believe, and it's what I think I'm blessed with.
When did you figure out that you were that personality? Because that's important. when you have to recognize the personality that you are and you live that way. Because a lot of people, live differently than what they truly are.
Probably in the nightclub scene. I was a kid from not the same place as some of the other guys who had a well-known name, but I gained a following very quickly just by being the same kind of raw, honest, blunt, loud, out there person that I am now. And I realized that people wanted to be part of what I was doing, and it gave me the confidence that I felt inside my soul, like, hey, I'm meant to do something, So when I started getting that, this is when I was still in Massachusetts. Obviously, I had to go through the trials and tribulations of life and make a lot of fucking mistakes to get to that point. But I realized back then that was what I wanted to do. So I've been chasing this entrepreneurship journeys for the last fucking 20 years, bro.
You're a veteran. After that, you go into nightclubs, you do the geek, and then what happens?
Nothing for a while. Yeah, just working. I went back to working in sales. I was always a good salesman. At every job, I excelled in sales.
You felt unfulfilled, probably.
Very, yeah. So, I struggled. I don't hide my past. I struggled a lot back in the day being from Boston. Almost everybody I knew was into drugs. This is when opiates were huge at the time. I got involved in that for a long time. I fucked up. I fucked my life up, Not to the point where I was ever, like, doing...
You were on the other side.
Yeah, I wasn't like, robbing houses or stealing stuff to feed it, but I was a salesman making good money, and it was just normal, like go to work, 12-hour day on the sales floor, take a couple perks, live your life. But it was just an unhealthy habit. And I crashed and burned off of that pretty bad, coming to a realization that, like, my life wasn't going to go anywhere. And that's when I met my wife.
It usually happens in your 30s, I feel like. No, now looking at it, I'm almost 40 like you, but I feel like my 29s through 32s was really weird. There's a lot of changes in me personally, like what I was looking for, what I wanted from life. Mm-hmm. So when you meet your wife, I remember you told me the story that she said, I'm leaving. Yeah, sure. With or without you.
Correct. Yeah, so I had a small car dealership in New Hampshire. I had moved out of Massachusetts, and
did you do that just to try to separate yourself from the group?
No, that's where the money was, and
okay.
I was,
I was looking for the money.
Working up there, I was looking for the money, and so I had a dealership, making good money, living in a rooming house with all of my employees in the basement.
Whoa!
I didn't give two shits about my life at that point. Right, I was making money, going fast. Nice cars, motorcycle, whatever I wanted to do, but I didn't value myself at all. So I met my wife. Mom and dad used to be pastors,
Oh, wow. Big difference.
Does very well for herself. She's works sales for a timeshare resale company, and I don't know what she saw in me, to be honest with you, bro. I don't. Yeah, I still to this day. At that point. She saw something in me as a person. I remember one of our first conversations, I looked at her and I was like, I got nothing to offer you. I'm like,
I had nothing to bring to the table.
I'm empty, and I've always been like that. I've always been able to speak my flaws. I know that. I never act like I'm a perfect person. And she was like, all right, well, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, and sure enough, we got to know each other. We dated for a few years, and she just showed me that there was more to life than anything. And then her company had offered her a position to come down here to Florida. And she looked at me and she's like, what are you doing? Where are you going with your life? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing all right, making money. And she's like, what are you doing with your life? She's like, I'm leaving with or without you. So I had already had my son at that point. So I was separated from my first. And I was going through a custody battle with my son. It was just a lot for me to process.
Sure.
I was like, Massachusetts is a very tough state when it comes to child support, custody, all that for fathers, in my opinion. A lot of guys deal with the same stuff. So at one point I was like, you know what? Let's just go. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. I'll find a way. And I believe in myself. And by then I was already clean off things. I was in a level-headed point of view.
Position, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to go down to Florida. I'm going to make something myself. So I told my family, my mom, my sister, don't leave.
Don't leave.
This is where you belong.
Yeah.
Your family, don't leave. How can you abandon us? Why would you leave your
that's
family?
tough, man.
I mean, dude,
Holy shit.
the violence.
The
It was like,
yeah.
and I held some resentment for them for a long time because of that. Fast forward 5 years, I'm doing the best I've ever done in my entire life.
Right.
I'm making, and I say this in the most humble way possible, but I'm making more money than anybody in my family.
Right.
I live in a bigger house than anybody in my family. I drive nicer cars. And I don't say that because those materials give me value, but I'm finally living the life that I told myself
Back then.
15 years ago that I was meant to live. You know, so it was a hard transition, but we figured it out, you know?
So you arrive in Florida,
No plan.
no plan.
Mercedes-Benz on the back of a U-Haul truck.
Did you? At least you had a Benz.
Oh, my wife had a Benz. My girlfriend had
You
a
got Benz.
C-Class at that
Did you?
time. I had no car. No, I
No
had
car.
nothing. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So you arrive in Florida, no idea. What's your first move?
Relax. I took like 2 weeks to myself to get myself together mentally.
Okay.
You know, like you have to
You have to
make a
figure it
plan
out.
of attack. You got to figure it out. I started going to church. I was saved. You know, I carried burdens for a long time. Went to church, dropped to my knees, said, "Give me another chance." It's a pretty sentimental moment for me. I woke up one morning. I looked at my girlfriend at the time, and I said, "I'm gonna go make something myself." She was like, "You're fucking crazy. What are you doing now?" You know.
What are you doing?
Got in the car and I drove down. Colonial, which I didn't know what Colonial was, to every car dealership until I found a job. So took me about 2 hours. Walked into a dealership, Tropical Auto Outlet. I'm still friends with the owners to this day. And I said, "I'm going to be the best fucking salesman you ever had." They said, "You're hired."
Just like that?
Just like that. Yeah. So started off doing sales, and then obviously, you know, when you have an entrepreneur mindset, you're always 4 steps ahead, you know. So getting that job led me into wanting to have my own dealership here and doing that and transitioning. So over the next couple of years, that was the path I went. I went from salesman at a dealership, general manager at a dealership, opening my own store.
Okay.
Failing miserably.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know what Bithlo was. Do you know what Bithlo is?
Yeah. Okay. So
I
you
opened
put
a
your dealership
in
over there?
Bithlo.
I want to ask you the process of that decision because that's an interesting
I
decision.
just saw Colonial, right? Like Colonial Drive, right? Like
So you thought that it was
Colonial's
never ending.
Yeah, it's never ending. It just goes forever, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm new here. I don't know.
Sure.
You know? So I found this great dirt lot. It's a little bit out of the way, but it's a good location on a main road. Little did I know, like, you know, souls go to die a half a mile down the road. It was just nothingness from there to like Titusville, but misfire, you know. And I
How
learned,
long did it take you to figure that out?
Oh, 4 months, 5 months. Yeah.
Quick.
Failed immediately. Took out floor plans, loans, and all that, and just, I mean, there was like weeks at a time, just no phone calls, nothing. 'Cause
Oh, shit.
People will call off the internet and say, "Where are you located?"
Bithlo.
Bithlo. They're
Nope.
like, no.
Not going.
Yeah. So then I recovered, like I always do. So took that L, went back to work again. You know, so started working the sales.
How
job.
do you feel about taking losses? I like to discuss that with people because I think perspective is very important when you take a loss. I think a lot of people take losses and they just can't move forward. And other people take the loss as this is a learning experience. I'm gonna shift. I'm gonna side lateral. What did you at that point? You know, you're changing your life. So there's a lot of changes going on. Mentally, physically, everything. Yeah.
I say it very often. I say if you can't appreciate an L, you can't appreciate a W, bro. It just is what it is. Like,
You don't enjoy it as much.
You don't. I love where I'm at. Like people think that I'm cocky or full of myself. It's not. I've taken so many fucking L's, dude. I've taken so many L's that when I have a little bit of a W, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like that's me. I did that. But I came from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 L's, and I just stayed the course. Trust the process. Trust the process. You know, like you have to take those L's. You have to.
When COVID happened, I remember sitting down with my father, and I'm like, man, can I stop getting hit in the nuts, bro? Like I started getting hit in the nuts since I was 21 years old. Because, you know, I had a rich dad. He was very wealthy. Obviously, I graduated Ron's. You know, this kid has a lot of money, go into real estate, make a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, that turns around 2008. Everybody got fucked up. I was one of them. And I thought that my dad would take me out, you know, just fix my problem. He didn't, which, you know, today I say it proudly. Back then, I said, that's fucked up. He could write a check, no problem, right? So when you kept getting hit in the nuts, there's gotta be a moment where something comes about it, you know? And I feel like, obviously, after this last one with COVID, and we'll talk about it with you, you know, things changed because my thought process changed of how to look at things. And the nut kicking became something that I actually enjoyed. Like, it's sick because I actually enjoyed it. I enjoy failing more almost than I enjoy winning, because the win is like, okay, there's a win. What's the next one, right? But the failure is trying to figure something out and changing or evolving. For my business, I mean, the restaurant business has not been reimagined. I mean, I don't think you could technologically change it that much. Yeah, they're doing robots and delivery and all that, but I mean, you still need to cook the food. You still need to come up with a recipe. Every recipe has probably been invented and it's online. On those kick of the nuts, what came about it in your life? Once that dealership's gone, you go back into sales. How do you figure it out? Because I think that's very important. Like, people that listen have always told me, like, how do I get out of the rut? How do I get out of that, like, mental mindset where I'm just stuck? I failed. I need to move out of that. How did you do that?
2 feet on the ground every single morning. Take my feet off my bed, put them on the fucking floor.
And go.
Move. That's all you got to do, man. Yeah. You know, I'm big into motivational workshops, and I follow Andy Frisella. I don't know if you know who he is, but Andy's
hardcore too. I like him because so he's got your same personality.
But he talks about 5 critical tasks, right? Like, everybody wants to accomplish 100 things per day, and then when you accomplish 30% of them,
you feel like shit.
You feel like shit.
Yep.
And the next day, you accomplish nothing. If you just break your day, your week, your life down into basic critical tasks, and that could be taking a cold shower in the morning. It could be going for a walk in the morning to get your mind right. You know, it could be dropping your kids off at school at the same time. For me, I'm a schedule guy coming from the military. I like standard operating procedure. I like doing the same thing every day consistently. And that is what I feel like drives me through everything, because I've always had that same mindset. Just wake up in the morning and do the best that you can. Business, you take a lot of hits. Sometimes at family, it's, you know, you try to find the balance between family and life and business. And as a business owner, you want to be super motivated and super into your business all the time. But family is everything, you know, and that's it's crazy, because family is the motivation behind the business, behind the pushing for success, so you can get some level of financial freedom and abundance that you can bring to the family. But you have to sacrifice time with the family and the family, you know, especially a wife, you know, who thinks you don't spend enough time with her. You know, it's not, and I try to tell her all the time, like, she's like, it's all business, all day, every day with you. Business, business, business. I'm like, but this is business for you. You know, like, this is for you and for the kids. Like, this is why I'm doing it. But it's just, you know, it's a lot. Business, the journey's a lot, man.
My sisters called me before we got on the podcast, and I was telling them, like, hey, we have an activity for a family event this Saturday. I was like, hey, guys, like, I really couldn't do anything yesterday. Yesterday, I took the time to measure how many calls I do a day. Yeah, you saw? Yeah. I ended up with 90 calls. And a broken air conditioner, the water heater at the store was not working. You know, dealing with my pizza restaurant to get all the money together to finalize, you know, the restaurant and open it up and all those things. And I was like, I really didn't think about the activity on Saturday, so just give me till like 5 o'clock today and I'll figure something out, right? But But that's a very hard thing for people to understand. That's every day. When you're in a relationship and all that, like you always have to understand, like you try to balance that out. But for me, I always criticize my dad, but then now that I look at it, I'm like, man, it's a hard balance.
It is.
It's a hard balance because you're trying to push this business forward. There's a lot of people counting on you, and you want to keep growing. And I don't know if it's selfish, but at the same time, you want to feel accomplished. Once you do that car dealership, you go back to sales. What happens?
The next job that I did after that failure was for sales for a dealership again, boat, jet skis, four-wheelers, West Orlando Power Sports.
Okay.
My finance manager at the time was a guy named Nick Galati. He's one of my best friends, one of my really good friends, should I say. Gave me a job. I walked in. We talked about the story. We talked about it last week. He's like, you walked in here, you interviewed. He's like, we told you to come back in a 2 days or something like that. You walked in 2 days later. You're like, you're going to give me the fucking job or not, bro? Which one? I walked in just like that.
Just like that.
We became immediate friends.
Really?
Right? Like salesman, top salesman, working through the process, probably 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. All right, I'm like, I need to go back to being self-employed. This is cool story, but wait for a paycheck, commissions, blah, 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 blah. I'm not making enough money. I'm worth more than this, right? I knew I was. So I moved on, started a business again. Construction this time.
Construction.
Yeah, so when we moved here, we were renting. We bought our first home. My wife was 8 months pregnant at the time. Okay. Bought our first home. I said, I can get this house remodeled in 60 days. She's like, how the hell are you going to do it? I'm like, I'm going to do it myself. It's just how I am. I'm a thick-headed kid. I used to do construction.
Did you ever
back in the day.
You did? Okay.
Back in my teenage years, just here and there. But it's basic stuff. Saws, wood, nails, glue, paint.
You'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. So chipped up 2,000 feet of tile floors, ripped the walls down, put the new walls up. Like 75 days later, we had a brand new house. I was like, this shit was easy. I'm going to start flipping houses. Right?
Okay.
Like, this is what I'm going to do. So that's what we started doing. So we worked out with a few investor friends, started buying houses, and we were just flipping houses. I was a contractor, investor, contractor. In the process, I would invest the construction.
Okay. That's fair.
Split the proceeds.
Sure.
Was good. So where I started to see much more value in my life because I started doing more. I filmed my first videos that I posted on social media, and just like maybe we should do YouTube, and had a camera guy and tried this stuff.
Oh, you did?
First time trying it was this home flipping thing, right? Because it was trendy. This is when I was really like, all right, cool, like I'm doing something, It went good. The market got a little soft. That stopped working out 5 years ago. So then I transitioned to just construction. So, but I was doing commercial. So remodeling, restaurants, nightclubs. I did some work for Matty Bullet across the street, just, miscellaneous stuff. But it was all kind of trendy stuff. So I had my best year right before COVID. Construction. I broke 7 figures for the year in business. I was like, all right, we're doing it. I had 20 employees, trucks, all this. And fucking motherfucker, COVID comes, right back down to the bottom, brother, just like that.
Right. And I understand you had certain mishaps and people not paying you and shit like that. And so that...
I still, I didn't chase anybody for money.
Which is good because it's a waste sometimes.
I took the L on the chin and I said, all right, let's keep fucking going, dude. It is what it is.
Okay. So you get rid of all your shit.
Fire sold everything. Trucks, trailers, tools. Sold all my guns, sold all my sneakers, everything. Mind you, my wife doesn't understand this. She never will. She's been at the same job for 10 years. She's consistent. Well. She's consistent. She does very well at it. She's top performer in her company. Then. She's my balance, So my entrepreneur journey has been different from a lot of people because I have backing, right? I have my wife, my kids, my family, but my wife also has kept me together through these times, right? And she's been able to help me. If I didn't make any money, she's still making money, so we can do this, And I think that it's a true blessing for that, and that's why a lot of guys are out here living that life. I'm married life, bro. I'm wife all day.
It's a different life.
Yeah. Correct. It's a different life, and
Which is fair.
I like it more. But she's been my rock through all of this, so why would I? Why would I deviate now?
Let's get to what's then. How do you start that process? Because you didn't open a shop right away, right?
Yeah, no, not right away. So I got some help from the government, not much. I wish I knew what everyone was doing, because I didn't. I mean, I had to be informed by someone that I knew that told me I could get like 18 grand to pay off my credit card debt. So sold everything, took all the money I had, paid off every drop of debt that I had. My fear has always been like
being in debt,
being indebted to someone or something, and they can control you from that, because I have control issues. I'm a A-type personality. Ain't nobody telling me shit.
Right.
So paid everything off and sat back for a couple days and was like, what am I gonna do? So that's when I got the idea to take the cash the remaining cash that I had. I bought myself a brand new truck. Cash, bought it. It was like my present to myself.
Okay.
I had the truck for like 16 days, dude. Happened right away. Like, brand new truck. You can scroll back on my Instagram to this point. You'll see a white F-150 lifted on wheels, sitting on a dirt pile. It was like, I did it, like this is my present to myself, because I'm not the kind of guy who likes to buy things for himself. I'm getting used to it over the last like couple of years, but I'm not like, I've never been a flashy guy. I've never, like saw the value in buying a $3,000 $3,000 T-shirt. Now I do, but back then I didn't. So this truck was like, okay, like I own it cash. No one can say anything. And I mean, COVID happened, started to happen. And one of my bigger clients, I was building a lifestyle resort in Kissimmee, just stopped answering my phone calls. Like, hey, where's my bill? We're shut down. Oof. We got no money. Oof. Can't do this. Like my other client, hey, we're shut down. Restaurant shut down. Can't do anything. I got no money. We're in conserve mode right now. We'll work it out with you. Just give us a few weeks. I didn't have a few weeks.
Sometimes people don't understand in the building business, because my brother-in-law does it, and we talk about it all the time. Cash flow is king.
You spend, let's just say, for instance, on one of the jobs, I was $60,000 in material that I purchased. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not like that's money that I spent for a material of something that we've now installed.
Yeah.
Right? So that money is supposed to go right back into the bank. It's not like I'm selling you something, I'm getting a commission for it.
No, you're getting it back.
I've already put this all out. So I've taken all of my money, because I was barely wanting to use credit cards or loans or anything. So this is my cash out of my account. So now this is all the cash in my account is out. I got like $1,500 to my name, knowing that I was waiting to get a check for like 60 grand. Probably 40 of that was profit of mine that I would keep, and I just never got that, ever.
Me and my dad were flipping houses, let's call it, back in the day in 2007. Okay, I was the real estate, so I was making the commission if I sold the house. I'm in $9,000 car payments a month. My account is obviously dwindling down on spending, I think I have a rich dad. And all of a sudden, the house that I was selling sells, and he goes, you're not getting your $45,000 commission. I'm like, why? You made the money on the house, you made the profit. Nah, I just need more profit. Which I was fine, because at the end of the day, I was living in these houses for free, while we sold them, and I didn't have any problem, but that fucked me. And that basically led to, my financial demise. But I always think of that as a blessing. Now, back then, no, but now that was the turning point right there. When I realized, hey, you in this by yourself, dog. You got to figure this shit out. Your dad ain't going to figure it out. Nobody else will.
From that point, when this started to happen, COVID, I feel like it was truly one of the best things that ever happened to me. I turned into a different fucking person. I'm a fucking monster. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, you're going out there with a knife. Yeah.
I will chase that. I will do anything that it takes. I am literally ferocious when it comes to my success now in my business, because I got there, right? Tippity top, right? In my brain.
In your perspective.
7 figures in business, looking at millions now. We're not looking at tens of thousands. We're looking at damn, I did fucking almost $2 million in business this year. Shit, okay, I'm there.
You were proud of yourself, yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Boom, baseball bat to the side of the head. Thought so, bitch. Right? Like that's literally what happened.
I like the Mike Tyson, the Mike Tyson quote. Mm-hmm. You have a plan until you get punched in the face.
Punched in the fucking face, man. And I got punched in the face. It's weird because I almost didn't even get upset about it. I just
kept going.
Knew I had to keep going, right? Like didn't have time. I was going through problems, and me and my wife had just bought our last house, our last home.
Right.
We sit back. We're in this home. It's a little bit. Maybe we would have considered our dream home at the time, right? Like big house, 4,000 square feet, 6-bedroom. We're like, and I'm like, I'm broke. She's like, what the fuck you mean we're broke? Like you're broke. Like, what happened? Well, this is what happened, this and this. And she's like, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, so I had the idea to fund some businesses. So I provided the cash to fund opening of a couple of businesses, buddies of mine. And in return, I would receive return back from it.
Dividends,
so it was dividends, Mm-hmm. Set it all up. We opened a barbershop, opened another shop, and then I had the idea because I was sitting in the shop every day, right? Because this is like all I have to do right now. I don't have anything, right? So I'm sitting in the barbershop, and we're not together. We're not working together anymore. He bought me out, and we went our separate ways. But I'm like, there's more. I know there's more. My entrepreneurial brain's like, let's go. So I was like, what if we started detailing cars on the side of the barbershop? And they were like, oh, that's a good idea. So, this is still in the middle of COVID. We're open this, right? I told them, I said, doesn't matter what they tell you. If they're going to fine us for being open as a barbershop, I'll pay all the fucking fines. Just start cutting hair. Get to work. Get to work. Everyone get to work. Start printing shirts. Start cutting hair. Do everything you can do, right? Like, make the money. I'll pay the fines. Let's just get going. Something rolling. I need
I need cash flow, yep.
I didn't need cash flow. I needed purpose.
Okay.
Right? Like I needed to feel like I was building something. I needed to feel like something was growing because that's what I feed on, right? If I feel like I'm to the point where I'm standing still, I'm terrified, dude.
Me too.
That. I hate it. I can't. I'm not the guy who can just sit in a quiet room by himself and just stare at the wall.
I can't only have like one restaurant. I
can't do anything small.
I find that boring.
I have to go bigger, and I got to take an idea and be like, that's just who I am. It's part of realizing who you are in this world and like your personality. So I'm like, let's start washing cars. So I'm pushing it. Instagram. Now this is when Instagram was starting to do reels. Mm-hmm. And I was like doing my research. I'm like, reels, we got to start posting reels. So I just started posting reels every day. Barbershop cars, doing this, doing that. And I started to see immediate like kind of traction. This is when I really got into social media. I started looking in depth to like analytics, how it was going to work and how many people could see my stories and maybe can see my reels and stuff. So I started posting that and I noticed a jump in just business in general. It happened really fast. So we got pretty busy pretty fast, like just with the detailing stuff. Still had no employees, so then I was the guy detailing the cars now, right?
Okay.
7 figures in business, construction, running a crew of 30 guys. Now I'm fucking washing cars. But I don't give a shit.
It's okay.
I don't. This is all in my Instagram story. My Instagram feed is my whole fucking life story.
Is
like,
it?
It's all still there. I've never deleted anything. Videos of me polishing cars, washing cars. Like, I'm going to build something huge. And everyone's like, oh, here he goes again on the fucking next fucking
Talking
story.
shit.
Talking shit, right? He's going to do it. Got busy. So immediately I saw business coming from it. So I said, okay, what's next? Open a mobile detailing division, right? Like, let's start going to people's houses. Got a truck, pressure washer, hit the road.
The whole deal.
Right? Started doing it. But at this point, I already had built some connections and friends in Orlando. So I had friends that were, successful, had nice cars. A good friend of mine, Sean. I said, let me detail your car for free. He's like, fuck, all right, whatever, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
why
okay.
not?
He's never let me do anything for him for free in my entire life. Well, since I've known him. But, I would like go out on the weekends, hang out with these guys, and then
be cleaning their cars
the next morning. That's a lot. It's heavy, bro. Like,
it's a different feeling.
It's a different feeling, So it's
Sean's a really nice guy.
Good guy.
He's a really good guy.
One of my first clients in detailing, and a friend of mine. It was hard, It was hard having friends and then knowing
dividing
that. Like I have a good network of guys that I know now. But I'm the guy that hires the car detailers to come wash my cars. Now I'm the car detailer washing cars because I'm broke. I got to do what I got to do. I got to build something. But as we started to get busy, it was great and all, but I was never like even remotely fulfilled with it because I was like, how do I scale? How do I grow? How do I be big? How do I make tons of money? And I quickly realized through that, like,
You can't do it.
You can't. It's gonna hurt some feelings, but you will never be you'll never be rich in general.
Okay.
Mobile detailing. You will not. There's no way to scale it where you make enough margins to be able to get there. So I've tried two trucks, 3 trucks, 5 employees. I've tried it. There's no money in it.
Right.
There's owner operator money if you want to make money for yourself.
Yeah.
But there's no entrepreneur money in that. So that's what led to the first shop. I bought only thing I could afford to buy at the time was a 2003 Chevy Tahoe.
Okay.
Had some nice wheels on it, but had a shitty wrap on it. So I took it off, and I was like, I'm going to figure out how to wrap my truck.
Okay. By yourself?
By myself. Watched YouTube videos, figured it out, failed a lot. I wrapped my truck. I mean, it was the shittiest wrap I've ever seen in my life. Oh, man, it was terrible, right?
My first burger
But I was so
sucked.
proud of it.
It's okay.
I fucking drove that bitch through downtown fucking every day. I'm a fucking rap guy now, you know? Like,
I'm a rap guy.
Yeah, just selling myself, you know? Like, I do raps now, so I'm on Instagram because Instagram is where I've got a lot of my business. We've been up to this point, still to this day, I am like 85 to 90% referrals.
Referrals.
Like, I don't, never paid for Google ads. I never even had a website. I mean, this is just like people know me and they do business with me in my social media. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm moving into a shop. We're a rap shop. You know, like, all right, cool. So there was people, you know, they wanted to do business. So we started wrapping cars. Detailing, wrapping cars, doing ceramic coatings, you know, just offering all of the auto care services. I had a shop on West Church Street. Rough neighborhood, you know, wasn't the best place, but we were just working with what we had at the time. It was what I could afford at the time. Not really afford, but again, I decided that no matter where I went with this business, I would never take a loan.
Okay. So it was all...
Nope. Been down that road.
Throwing it back in.
Learned my lesson, threw it back in. I didn't get paid. Like I haven't gotten paid. This lifestyle looks great, driving Lambos and Ferraris where I'm at now, but I still don't get fucking paid.
Yeah.
It's all going back in the business.
Sure.
And one day it'll all work out.
It always does.
I had a buddy of mine who had an exotic car dealership, and he's like, all right, I'll start sending you my business.
Right.
You're my buddy, you're my boy, my brother. Here you go. All my business is yours. And that's kind of a position I've always been in, that like whatever I do, the people around me respect me enough to know that I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, you build a relationship.
But they also know that I'm a man of my word. I'm always going to make it right. I'm not looking to get over on anybody. I'm trying to do right by everybody. And if I do that, everybody's going to do right by me, right? It's a basic fundamental of, we say this, but in my head.
In theory.
The universe gives you back what you give,
yes.
what you put into it, right?
I believe in that.
I'm a true believer in that. I tell myself this. I tell everybody I know this. You put out good energy into the universe, and eventually it's going to come back. It just is what it is. So that's what I did. I just built as many relationships as I could with as many influential, successful, motivational people that I could. And, you know, when the time came that I opened my business and we're to that point, now it's like, bring it back. You know what I mean? Send me some business. Refer me out to people you know. And that's the way it works. So I realized quickly that doing exotic cars, because we're doing Ferraris, Lamborghinis, etc. on West Church Street.
Was not the place.
It's not the move, bro. I got peddlers like this with a cup as my clients are pulling in to drop off their Lamborghini. You got, you know, a guy in a wheelchair shaking a cup. And I was like,
man, that's not going to work.
So now I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do? You know, like I can't do this. Now I'm kind of embarrassed because I'm getting there, but I couldn't afford to have a nice shop.
Right.
So I'm just getting by the best I can. And thankfully, clients still continue to do business with me. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to figure it out. I got to do what I got to do. So I started looking for a 5,000 square foot shop or something decent in a decent area that I could find, and was unsuccessful at first until I found the place that I'm at now.
Right.
It was an old tool and die warehouse, much more money than I could afford. And I was like, what do I do? Stand still or fucking jump? You know, and I met with the guy. I said, listen, this is my business that I have now, but I'm going to be the biggest auto care and customization shop in Orlando. I just need the space to do it. Thankfully, my landlord met me and we became friends immediately. And he was like, I believe in you, man. I believe you can do this. So
That's cool.
I took every penny I had. And he had like security deposit, this and that. And I took whatever money I could find from wherever I could find, from whoever would give it to me at that point. Took on, you know, a investor, I guess you would say.
Sure.
Borrowed whatever money. I was just borrowing money. I never had no plans on building anything with anyone. I was just trying to get to whatever I could do. So I maxed out everything I had and gave him the deposit and moved in. So we had a plan for it to, part of the lease was he was going to remodel set amount of the shop to get it workable to where it needed to be.
Sure.
It was supposed to take like 90 days. That was like a year ago. It took almost a year to even for him to do his part with contractors and permitting, which everything you're going through now.
Yep.
But I wasn't supposed to pay rent until the place was finished. So I was like, oh, it's cool. So I'll work out of a half-finished shop for 6 months, make money, stack up my money, get right, I'll be good. It didn't work out that way. He saw how busy I was immediately, and he was
Started charging rent,
bro. So now I'm like trying to clear rent, and you know, I'm still there. But now I believe in this dream. I know where this business is going.
You've positioned yourself.
I positioned myself in this, and a great thing that a good friend of mine told me one day, and I was like, man, I'm risking so much. I just hope I don't fail. And he's like, dude, like you have built a personal brand faster than most people I've ever seen. Like your network won't let you fail at this point. You're fucking unstoppable. So this is a friend of mine said this to me, and I was like,
pretty cool.
Fucking yeah. And he's a very influential person in Orlando who knows a lot of people. He's like a mentor to me, but he was right. He's like, you know, you have enough people that do business with you, that respect you just as a person, that you just, all you got to do is just keep moving and everything will be okay. So that's where I'm at now, man. I'm moving.
What does Wolves Den do? Try to explain to everybody what you do, because maybe they don't know you.
We are a auto care and customization business.
You do rims, you do wraps.
Yeah, we do everything from detailing of cars, ceramic coating, paint corrections, window tint. We do wraps, PPF.
Everything that has to do with your car.
Everything has to do with your car. We don't do mechanical, so we don't do like oil changes and stuff like that. No dirty work.
Sure.
So all clean, customization and or care to keep your car looking good or looking badass, depending on what you're trying to do.
What's the next step? Because now that you believe, you just told me, you believe in your shit, because you have to believe in your own shit. Mm-hmm. I always say that. What moves do you now? Like, how do you develop those relationships and you keep building on them, you know, in the market?
So over the last year, I've started to realize that the services that I offer, the services that I want to offer, the services that are profitable as a business owner, right, are higher value services. So wraps, PPF, you know, et cetera. Customization of cars, full custom builds of cars.
Right.
We have made a transition to like the luxury exotic cars because it's kind of like the thing in this scene is that, you know, you spend $200,000, $300,000 on a car, you want to keep it protected. Just is what it is.
Protected, taken care of.
You want it to look good. You know, it's lifestyle. It's a luxury lifestyle that you want to live, and that's kind of the niche market that I've ended up in. Is I do a lot. I do work with the local dealerships, Ferrari Central Florida and Aston Martin and all these guys. So I do work with them. So this is kind of the market I've put myself in. So then we realized at some point, like, moving forward, like, what's next?
You've created your community. And what people realize when it comes to branding, or they sometimes don't, is once you create that community, right, you can keep moving your business into a different direction. But you've done that in a very short amount of time. and we've talked about it with social media, you're on it all the fucking time. Sometimes annoying.
Oh, of course.
Which is fine.
I annoy myself sometimes, bro. Like the things that how much I have to post, how much it requires. But I mean, it's you know, as an entrepreneur, ROI, right? Like, what's the return on the investment? The investment of my time into social media, posting on social media, I'm making money. I'm making real money, tangible money. Like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. It just is what it is. It's part of the process, what I have to do to continue to chase my goals.
Social media played such a huge role in building your brand fast, right? And you've taken that and you've leveraged it to basically it's free because you're creating the content, right? You're with your phone and all that shit. And at the end of the day, it's paid dividends. And people criticize you, right? Probably because they see you all the time. But when you think of like the Anderforcellas or the Grant Cardones or all these people, they're in your face at all fucking time.
Andy Frisella and Grant Cardone are the two guys I follow.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, exactly. But it's just setting the standard. It works. It
boom,
works.
Boom, boom.
You know, people are like, you know, I talk to people sometimes and they're like, you know, man, you just put it all out there. Your whole life's on social media. I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, it's my life. You think that this is my whole life, but it's not. There's so much more to my life than this. But this is what works. I share my wife, my kids, my family, my life, achieving my goals. I share my house, the cars I drive, or you know whatever it is. Like, but this is what I earned.
But you share it real.
Yeah, I share it real.
I think transparency and the realness is very important in social media because I think a lot of people. I mean, lately, obviously, there's a shift in that because we know, like, there's the Instagram life versus reality. You know that shit that they do online, and I think it's great that you have transitioned into that reality and build that community that way, and that's why you've been successful at building that brand. But people don't understand that it just takes a lot of effort to do that because to do all that content, I mean. Fuck, it's a lot while dealing with the business, while doing doing all your household chores with your kids, with your wife.
And I get caught up sometimes too. You know, I come home from work and I haven't posted a reel yet for the day, and I have to keep my Instagram analytics looking right and my engagement. So I come home, I catch myself sometimes. I come home, I sit down at the counter, and my kids are beside me, my wife's cooking dinner, and I'm just staring at my phone. Fucking got to get a reel out. She's like, "Can you just put your phone down?" No, I haven't posted for the day. I got to do this. I got to do that. Right. It's just like and then sometimes I'm just like, shit, man. Like
it's a lot.
It's a lot, no matter what. No matter it's on. This is the journey, bro. It's everything is a lot. You know, like it's just you just have to accept it and just you have to become a logic-based human. Like we talked about this on Instagram, right? Like I don't get emotional often. I'm not a. You'd be like, Jim, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. I'd be like, all right, bro, sorry you feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, my wife's like, fucking, you're shitty. You don't give me any attention. I'm like, well, we'll be over.
We'll figure it out.
Chill. We'll be okay, you know?
Yeah.
But my kids is one thing. Like, I coach football, my son, and like, I'm always try to be as present as I can for them because I grew up without a father, so I've tried to be super dad. But yeah, it's just balance, man. You gotta find it. I'm only beginning. I don't know. I can't really give any insight on success because I don't consider myself successful. You know, like I've built something, but this isn't even close to where I want to be. So I'm just sharing my process as much as I can. You know, we have gained a little bit of success here, but now I'm looking to becoming a national brand. That's where I want next. You know, I want to be your next franchise opportunity of being part of the badass shop, the Wolves. You know,
that's pretty cool.
I'm looking all the way up. You know, and I'm looking where I can make more money in the areas that I'm in now. But I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. You know, so.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of your journey. I want to see it.
I appreciate it, man. I really
thanks for
do.
coming in. I appreciate your time,
man, brother.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm going to sit here till you subscribe. Hello? Subscribe.